Hey friends, welcome to this class on Pan Asian cuisine. Pan Asian cuisine will be doing Japanese, Chinese and Thai recipes. We'll be doing a udon noodle Buddha bowl. Now this Buddha bowl can be made with udon noodles, it can be made with quinoa. So the noodles could be substituted with quinoa, with rice, white rice, black rice, brown rice, red rice, anything you feel like. But somehow noodles taste the best, and udon of course is a good choice. Now boiling the noodles is very important, to boil them nicely. Now first of all, this is the udon noodles ka packet which I have, and this is what they look like. They are thin noodles, flat ones, and when you boil udon or any noodles, first of all the water should come to a rolling boil. It should boil very nicely, and in a pan put at least 2 teaspoons of salt and a tablespoon of oil before you throw your noodles into the boiling water. Now once when you put your noodles inside the boiling water, don't put them like this. It's a good idea to open the noodles and then put them and kind of separate them while you're putting it. And even after, when the noodles are in the water boiling, you need to keep, these are the boiled ones, you need to keep stirring them with a fork very often, because if you don't do that, the noodles stick to each other, and that is why we put that little oil inside. Now somebody just asked me this morning in the group that the thin noodles, how do they remain so thin? So even the thin noodles, if they are not boiled properly, they become plump and fat and thick. So what do you do to make them look thin? Like these are also very thin. They are broad, but they are very thin because they've been boiled properly. So what you need to do is, after the noodles are boiled, which should take anywhere from 2 to 3 minutes up to 4 minutes, depending on how thick or how thin they are. When they are 80% cooked, just switch off the flame, and all the time the water should be a rolling boil. पानी खूब अच्छा खोलते रहना चाहिए जब आपकी noodles उबल रहे हैं. Don't make the flame low. Let it be high and the noodles. So that's why the pan should be big. So now after the noodles are 80% cooked, you switch off the flame and take a strainer and strain them. Now that 20%, they will cook on their own because they are not going to cool immediately. They will remain warm for a while. Now after straining, many a times we say that refresh the noodles with cold water. Please don't do that, because on doing that they absorb a lot of more water and they become plump. So the first point is rolling boil, not more than 3 to 4 minutes, 80% cooked. Strain them immediately after that. After they are strained, do not refresh, and final is spread them out. Now whether you take a tray or a clean kitchen platform, your choice, but it should be a big khuli tray. Spread them out, and once you spread them out, what do you need to do? You need to cool them. So how are we going to cool them? Either because they are going to be hot, so take 2 forks and keep lifting them. You have to keep lifting them. If they are in a tray, keep lifting them, and then you can wait for a while, for 1 minute, do something else, then go back, again lift them like this. And when they are comfortable enough to touch, it's a good idea to do them with the hands also. Initially they'll be hot, so keep this we do so that they turn cold. And this step is very important. If you don't do this and leave them in the strainer, even with a little oil, so after you strain them and you put them on the tray, just sprinkle a little oil and don't forget about them. If you forget about them, they are going to, the lower ones, the ones which are beneath the upper noodles, are going to become thick because of the heat. So you have to keep lifting them up and down and make them cold enough so that the cooking process stops. So now I think the boiling of the noodles is pretty much clear, and now we'll go on to sauteing the noodles. Now when you saute the noodles, also the flame needs to be high and the wok needs to be a big one. Don't take a very small utensil. Take a little bigger with a flat bottom and so there's enough space. Now when you're doing the noodles, the wok needs to be seasoned. Sometimes the noodles stick. So just put a little extra oil, maybe half a cup of oil. I'm going to heat this oil. We are not going to use the whole half a cup. I'm going to remove the oil and then use as much as I need. Now, how can you make your noodles healthy? Buddha bowl means eating healthy food. Now, I'm going to use this red amaranth. You get red amaranth, you get green amaranth. This is lal saag or cholai in Hindi. And just break up the leaves like this. The stems, if they are very thin, can be used. And then I've shredded them. The way you shred cabbage and all. But for noodles, if you are using cabbage, it has to be shredded very finely. But if you are using cholai or amaranth, you can shred it a little thickly because it kind of shrivels. So this is lal saag or amaranth that I'm going to use. I have some spring onion greens. Now this noodle Buddha bowl has noodles sorted separately and a sauce. So no sauces like soya sauce and all which we normally use in chow mein and all, I'm going to add to the noodles. I'm going to make a separate sauce which makes it taste very delicious. So this has just salt and pepper and no sauces. So we have this amaranth. If you don't have amaranth, you can substitute it with red cabbage. If you don't have red cabbage, also with green cabbage. But again, if you are using amaranth, it will be 3 cups because it's going to shrivel to 1 cup. And if you are using cabbage, red or green, it will be 1 cup. Naturally, because that doesn't shrivel so much. I have some onion juliennes. So you cut an onion into half. I would call them half rings because when you make half rings and you open them up, you get these juliennes. And a little chopped garlic. Okay. Our oil is hot enough, and as I told you, I want to season my kadhai or my wok. So what I do is, after my oil is hot, I just pick up this and rotate it all around so that my noodles don't stick nicely. And I pour the extra oil, leaving just a little because I don't need too much oil. Just a little, about a tablespoon, because I've already oiled my noodles. So I don't need too much of oil. Okay, to start with, this is hot, I'll just leave it aside. Okay. To start with, I put a little garlic. And whenever you put, it should sizzle. That means your pan or your oil is hot enough. The flame is nice and hot. The garlic has changed color. I don't want to burn it. I'm going to add my onions, which are julienne. Trying to separate them a little. Okay, after each recipe, what we'll be doing is, we'll be unmuting you and we'll answer all your questions at that time. You can keep putting them so that you don't forget. You can keep putting them on chat if you like. And we'll answer all the questions once each recipe is complete. Okay. The onions, we don't want to brown the onions. They have to just be a little soft and a little transparent. Now I'll add about 3 cups. Here goes in 1 cup. This is about 2 cups and this is 3 cups. This can also be used to make a bhujia with aloo, and you must have these vegetables, amaranth and all. This is the season for them, and they are rich in vitamins, they are rich in antioxidants, calcium, and they're rich in protein also. And the red variety is definitely better. Just saute them for a while. Okay. Now once this is done, I'm going to add the noodles. These noodles have been boiled, and you have to cool the noodles. And you have to be around, you can boil your noodles and chop in the meanwhile and keep lifting your noodles with your hands till they are no longer hot. So we just wait for this to wilt a little. Now there are different kinds of noodles. We've used this flat noodles. You could use the regular Hakka noodles here. You could also use soba noodles. Soba noodles are made from buckwheat, जिसको हम कुट्टू का आटा कहते हैं. So buckwheat या कुट्टू के आटे से soba noodles बनते हैं. You can use those also. Japanese eat a lot of soba noodles also. They have a little different color, slightly tannish because of the कुट्टू का आटा or buckwheat. Now I can see the amaranth wilting a little. See, now it's become about a cup only. That's why I said instead of 3 cups of amaranth, we'll use only 1 cup of cabbage if we substitute. Okay, let's put the noodles. Here goes in the boiled noodles. Okay, now let's mix this up. And let me put the spring onion greens also with it. You can put them a little later if you feel like, but you can put them right away. Now it's a good idea to use fork for mixing your noodles. Look at the lovely red color of the amaranth, and it is very, very healthy. I'm always into healthy eating, and you should have a great immunity system. And for that, you know, I've come out with immunity booster drink. This is immunity wall by me, formulated by me, and you know, this is a lovely shake. It appeals to the children also because I kept the taste in mind. The children love it, the adults. It has protein for your muscles to give you strength. It has lots of antioxidants in the form of beetroot and carrot. It has a whey protein, and it's flavored very well, very nice flavor. Just put a tablespoon in a glass or a cup of milk and make a shake out of it. Have it for breakfast or for any time. This immunity wall is going to give you a lot of immunity in these times when we really need it. Noodles are kind of done, and I think we'll put a little salt and pepper. Remember, we have added a little salt while boiling the noodles. So I'll just add a little, I won't add too much. And then there's a sauce also, so zyada nahi dalna, be careful. And in the rainy season, always remember the salt absorbs a lot of moisture. So be careful when you're adding the salt. If you're adding half, it's going to be 3/4 because it's kind of बहुत जुड़ जाता है नमक. I've used Nita Mehta black pepper in this. We have our range of spices also, which most of you must be familiar with. But those who are not familiar with, do try our masalas. It's not only black pepper and red chili and red Kashmiri mirch powder. We have a lot of other spices like we have chana masala, which flavors your chana beautifully, and we also have anardana powder to go with the chana masala. Then we have a Shahi Paneer masala, and this is the black pepper I was talking about. And you can look up the range of spices from our site nitamehta.com to see more variety of the masalas. Let me have a taste of the noodles and see if more salt is added. The salt is perfect. The noodles are nice and crisp. These udon noodles have a little chewy texture. That is what is good about them. And that's what I like about them. So let's leave this aside. And as I told you, there's a sauce to be made with the noodles. Okay. Now for the sauce. Let me just take out the ingredients and tell you for the sauce. Let's put a pan to heat. Okay. A little bit of oil. You can use any cooking oil that you have at home. Like in Italian, you prefer olive oil. In this, They normally use either peanut oil or canola oil, but use any whatever you're using, except for the mustard oil. You can use any oil. Okay, once the oil is heated, I have some grated ginger. Now when you grate ginger, don't put it like this. After grating the ginger, give it a nice chop. Otherwise sometimes the ginger is very fibrous and अच्छा नहीं लगता, मुंह में बड़ा बड़ा आता है. So just chop the ginger and add the ginger and the garlic. Okay. So I've added the ginger and garlic. It's not fragrant as yet. I'll add the chili flakes also, the red chili flakes. For the sauce, I can reduce the heat because I don't want my ginger garlic to burn. But when I was doing the noodles, I had kept it on high flame. Okay. Ginger and garlic is almost done. Now, what are the other ingredients which go into it? Now, quickly I'm going to add the remaining ingredients. You have the recipe with you. I'm going to add some soya sauce, which is light soya sauce. I prefer the light soya sauce. Some honey. It's a sweetish khatti meethi sauce, so a little honey goes in. Some rice vinegar. Whether it's rice vinegar or rice wine vinegar, it's one and the same thing. Rice wine is just a short form. Rice wine vinegar ko short karke they call it rice vinegar. Okay. A little chili garlic paste which you get ready made, or you can even, if you like, you can just boil some red chilies very briefly. Don't boil them too much because they become very mushy and they don't taste nice. Just put the red chilies, whole red chilies. You could de-seed some and put them in the, let me reduce the flame. I don't want this to cook very quickly. I want it to take a little time so that the flavors blend. Now, I was telling you about the red chili paste. All you have to do is just take some whole red chilies and de-seed some, just cut them and de-seed some and put them in hot water for maybe about 10 minutes and then grind them to a paste. That's it, roughly, coarsely. And you can, if you like to preserve it for a longer time, just cook it in a tablespoon of oil, about 20 chilies and 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil. And you have your homemade red chili paste, otherwise they are available in the market also. Now I'm making a sauce, so I need to thicken it. Here I have half a cup of water and 1.5 tablespoons of corn flour. I need to thicken the sauce with the corn flour. So now this is what it looks like at the moment. It's thin absolutely, and we want the sauce. So in goes dissolved corn flour. Now all the sauces like the soya sauce and the chili garlic paste that we've added, they all have little salt in them. So when you're adding the salt, just be careful that you don't overdo it. And another thing is, after you've added the corn flour, keep stirring it till it comes to a boil, because it's important for the sauce to come to a boil while you're stirring it, because otherwise it forms lumps. Okay. We are done with this. So it's a nice khatti meethi sauce which we have. Okay, now I'll just taste it, but let this come to a boil, then only I can taste it. It hasn't thickened as yet. Okay, now I can see it coming to a boil, and it's thickening also like a saucy. It's coating my spoon. That's what sauce is all about. It should coat your spoon. Don't push the sauce too much. Sometimes where we go wrong is you add the corn flour and it's not thick enough, and you feel cook karte jate hain, so it will become thick. It won't become thick. That means the corn flour is less. So if it doesn't become thick after adding corn flour for a minute after boiling, you need to add a little more corn flour. Not in this, I'm telling you a general rule, because corn flour, if you cook too much, it becomes thin rather than thickening the whole thing. Nice. Not much salt needed. I don't think any is needed, but if you still feel like, just a pinch would do. Okay. Now this sauce and this noodles we have. they are to be mixed at the time of serving. Now since we are going to serve it just now, let me mix it right away and keep it. See now how it looks like. अब सारा एक साथ ऊपर मत डाल दो. Let me just, थोड़ा सा नीचे से ऊपर ले आती हूँ, and then I'll add the little remaining. Here. So this looks nice and healthy, and let me use these 2 spoons. See, if you add the sauce and keep it, if you are not ready to serve and you keep it, your noodles will become limp. They won't be so nice and crisp. So just add the sauce if you want to serve it. Like I want to serve it right away in a few minutes. So I'm adding the sauce. Okay. So our noodles are done. And after the noodles are done, this is a clay bowl that I'm using. So I'll transfer the noodles in the clay bowl. If you don't have rice vinegar, in anything you can use plain white vinegar, but of course use a little less because plain white vinegar, which is distilled vinegar, is very tart, बहुत खट्टा होता है. So वो थोड़ी सी quantity आपने कम use करनी है. So these are the noodles. मैंने center में ज़्यादा डाल दिया है noodles को. Okay. Now after this is done, next we'll do is kale leaves. The method of boiling the noodles. All you have to do is boil a pan of water, khula bartan, add 2 teaspoons of salt and a tablespoon of oil. Once the boil comes, don't just throw the noodles, try and separate them and put them. Sometimes they are joined together. So उनको खोल के थोड़ा सा डालो, and डालने के बाद भी you have to keep stirring them with a fork till everything opens up. And keep a check, don't do anything, just stand right there, keep checking the noodles. It depends on 2 to 3 minutes, 4 minutes for this. You have to be around, strain them once they are done. After straining, put some oil in the strainer if you like, or transfer to a tray immediately and put 1 tablespoon oil. Now again, don't move from there, try and keep lifting the noodles up and down with your hands. If you can't manage with 2 forks, till they cool down. That would take about 5 to 10 minutes, but initial 2, 3, 4 minutes, be around, keep shaking them for 2, 3 minutes, आधे minute के बाद. Then after 5 minutes, when they are almost cold, then you can keep coming after 1 or 2 minutes and shaking them till they are absolutely cold, and then put them in a covered bowl till you want to use them. Don't leave them open. Now see, this is kale chips we are doing. This is a leaf of kale. They could be bigger, they could be smaller. Kale is again very healthy or as good as amaranth. Now what you need to do is this thick vein, we need to just cut it out. We don't like this vein, so just cut this vein out. You could cut it like this, or from the right side like this. So all the leaves, I've removed the veins. In the spinach leaves, if you're substituting spinach, the vein is very thin, so you can just leave it like this. Now what you need to do is, in the kale leaves like this, see, I'm going to cut this out and again remove this thick. So here. Now what you need to do is just put a little oil on them. This is spinach and kale together. Don't overcrowd your tray. And it's not necessary to have them Buddha bowl, have them only in a Buddha bowl. Enjoy them as an evening snack. I love having my kale chips in the evening instead of the potato chips. Now again, all these greens have a lot of salt. So be careful about salt. 2 pinches today in this rainy season would be 1 pinch only, because it's, rainy season, the salt absorbs a lot of moisture. So I've just added a pinch of salt, and if you like, you can add some seasonings like oregano seasoning if you're doing it for your evening snack. Any seasoning would do. Now all you have to do is, I have these spinach leaves and I have these kale leaves. The kale have been broken like this, removed, the vein has been removed. I'm going to put them in the oven for 7 to 8 minutes at 200 degrees. And this is how a kale bunch looks. The leaves could be bigger or smaller. Okay. Now next we'll do chickpeas. Since I told you it's a complete meal, we are going to do chickpeas. Okay. Now what are chickpeas? Kabuli chane. Now these Kabuli chanas have been boiled, but if I press them, they are very hard to press. Like, you know, if I put them in my mouth, they are nice and crisp, but they are not raw. So what I did was soak the chanas overnight or for 6 to 8 hours, put a little water in them, as much as you like, 1 cup to 2 cups of water is fine, with half a teaspoon of salt, and just give 2 whistles. Remove it, let the pressure drop by itself, don't open it, and then strain it. Again, put it on a tray to cool immediately. Once they are cold, then you can put them like this. So these chanas, if I press them, I have to really press them hard for them to squash, you know, to get squashed like this. Okay. Now to do the chickpeas, I heat a little oil. I'm going to add some dry mint powder to this. See how I make my mint powder and keep? What I do is I just wash my spinach leaves like this and I put them in a microwave for about 2 minutes, and then after that I just give it a quick shake like this, stir like this, and then microwave for another 1 minute, and they cool, and then I just put them in a bottle like this. And my mint powder, homemade mint powder, which is really fragrant, is ready. Okay. In this, now after this is done, I am going to add some chickpeas which have been boiled, but the pan should be hot enough. Let me just increase the heat. Okay. I need to saute these chickpeas for 2 to 3 minutes, and then I am going to add white and black. But if you notice, the white is 2 tablespoons and the black sesame seeds are very few. Black sesame seeds taste nice, but in smaller quantities. And besides that, I'm going to add the mint powder, this, and I'm going to add a little red chilli to make it nice and spicy. And I have used Nita Mehta red chilli powder. Do try a red chilli powder. And I'm going to use this in the chickpeas. Now, if you don't want to have chickpeas, what can you have? You can always open a can of chickpeas if you have forgotten to soak, or you can also dice some tofu, some kind of protein you need. It can't be non-vegetarian because Buddha bowl is normally vegetarian and vegan and vegetarian. And you can either dice some tofu or paneer. Tofu is of course a better choice, and saute instead of the chickpeas. Okay, the oil is hot and I'll add the chickpeas.
What if you don't get kale?
If you don't get kale, you can always use spinach, as I showed to you. That is why I like to give you options, because I know all the time these vegetables may not be available, but when they are available, do have them. And not only in the Buddha bowl, but as I told you, as chips also with your evening snack. Okay. Let's saute the chickpeas. The chickpeas have been boiled for just 2 whistles, if you remember. Left in the pressure cooker till the pressure dropped, and then strained, then immediately cooled by spreading on a tray. So now do it for about 3 to 4 minutes, and then add the sesame seeds and a little mint powder. If you don't have the mint powder, just add the fresh finely chopped mint. That should also be alright. And Nita Mehta red chilli powder to spice it up. So we've added salt to this, so I don't think we need salt. Now this is what I've taken out from the microwave, and if you see, if I crush this, I get a mint powder. So let me add this also, it's nice and fresh. the freshly made mint powder. A little black pepper goes in. So our chickpeas are also done. Next, we'll saute the vegetables. Now what are we doing next? We are doing some vegetables. Some sweet potatoes. This is what a sweet potato looks like. I've peeled half of it. And I have boiled also some. So I have some boiled sweet potato. I have some blanched broccoli and some baby corns if you are not too fond of sweet potatoes. So now how do we go about this? Sweet potatoes, we add a little oil, and let me tell you. Now what did I do with the sweet potatoes? I peeled them, cut them into pieces, not very thick, and then I put them in boiling water with a little salt, because sweet potatoes are too sweet, and they are not very sweet, but for a vegetable they are on the sweeter side. So we add a little salt, and it hardly took me 5 minutes to boil them, drain them out, and then I put my broccoli florets in it. Now when I put the broccoli florets, I wanted my broccoli florets to look nice and green, so I added a little sugar. So first I boiled the water with salt and put my sweet potatoes, and once the water was done, I added the sugar and the broccoli florets. Another thing which I want to tell you is, don't waste the stem of the broccoli. Just peel it. We are paying for the stem, and the stem has equal antioxidants and equal amount of nutrition as the broccoli florets. So it's a good idea to peel the stem and cut them into thin slices like this. Whatever you are doing, whether you are doing a vegetable or anything, do use the broccoli stem. Okay. Now the oil is hot, and we'll saute the sweet potatoes. So first of all, we'll put some ginger and garlic in it. Again, if you grate your ginger and garlic, after grating, it's a good idea to chop it. It becomes finer. And now I'm going to put my red chili powder, which I'm going to use is Nita Mehta Kashmiri Mirch powder. So I'm going to use Kashmiri Mirch powder in this. It gives a nice color. Kashmiri Mirch powder is the same as Degi Mirch powder. Now don't cook it for too long, it will burn and turn black. So let's add the sweet potatoes. And here, if you don't get the sweet potatoes, or you don't want to use the sweet potatoes, you can always use these baby corns. I've blanched these baby corns, so you could also use these if you like, instead of the sweet potatoes. And in this, I'm going to add some green coriander. And quickly mix this up. Now salt was added when we were boiling the baby corns are also blanched. The sweet potatoes take 5 minutes, the baby corns take about 2 minutes, broccoli takes about a minute. Okay, now once this is done, I have to do my broccoli. Now before I do my broccoli, I like to put a little soya sauce. This is light soya sauce, and I'm going to put my broccoli here, which is blanched. The kale chips have been done, nice and green, and they look really lovely. Let me just mix all this. The broccoli, the sweet potatoes, the vegetables, all have been done. You could do them separately if you like, but then it's faster this way. Now this is also done. See our kale chips. If you don't see them properly, they sometimes burn. See, they're nice. They're nice, they can be crushed. So these are the kale chips. The kale does better than the spinach because it's a little thicker. So I'll just put this aside. Our vegetables are also done. Now we'll just arrange the Buddha bowl. We have our noodles ready. Now another thing that we needed was before doing it, let's do the Okay, let me do it right away. Okay. This is an avocado. Avocado is really a problem sometimes because when you buy it, first of all, if you take out this, it should be green from here. If it's dark from here, brown from here, your avocado is overripe. So this is green. If I press it, it's like a papaya. In the sense, it should feel a little soft. Too hard is not good. But in case you do get a hard one, what do you do to ripen it? Just wrap it up with some apples. Take a newspaper, put apples, wrap it up and put it. The fruits have a gas which ripen the avocado. So put it in your fruit basket, wrapped in with apples or some bananas. Apples is better. This is how you ripen it. Now, how do you use it? Just go around, and if you've used half of it, you want to use half of it, leave the seed in, sprinkle some lemon juice over it, and put a wrap on it and keep it in the fridge for a day or so. Now we'll use half of it just now. Now when you want to use half of it, we'll slice it. How do we slice it? Lengthwise or widthwise? Widthwise. Just like slice it widthwise. I'm going till the end. Not cutting through the skin, but going till the skin. The avocado is nice and ripe, and I'm going to take a spoon and just this is how we put our avocado. Let's make it look a little pretty. Arrange it. While putting it inside, it just fell out. Okay. So this is our avocado. Now what are the other things? We have these chickpeas. So I'm putting these chickpeas on the side. I'm going to let the noodles show in the center. Then let's put some vegetables. You could even separate the vegetables, but that would take longer here. You could put broccoli separately and the other vegetables separately. I won't do it because it will just take a little extra time. And another thing that we need is a tahini sauce in this. So what I've done is I've ground the sesame seeds like this. I've taken these roasted sesame seeds and I've ground them without adding anything. And now what all am I adding? I'm adding some oil to it. I'm adding a little sriracha, tahini hai. So sriracha is a chili sauce. And I'm adding a little lemon juice to it. Okay. Now I'm going to give it to my hand to grind it. On the avocado, it's a good idea to sprinkle a little lemon juice. It tastes nice, and let me put some lemon juice on this also. I want to use it tomorrow, so I'll just put it on this also and keep it. Okay. Just want the noodles to show in the center. So we should mix the noodles and the sauce at this time. Okay. Now we have our kale chips. They are nice and crisp. So this is our buddha bowl. Almost done with it. Okay. Now we have the sriracha tahini sauce. Just a minute, the sauce is coming. Let me just clear it up. And how are we going to use the sauce? If you like, you can have a disposable piping bag. Put it in this, and I'll put the sauce in this, in the disposable piping bag. Now if it looks very thin, you can add a little water or a little, thoda sa pani dena. I have a little lemon juice here. और it should be enough. ठीक है, हो जाएगा. इस ठीक है. Some people also add a little mayonnaise to it if you like, but then it doesn't have the true tahini taste. So do you remember what I did? I ground the sesame seeds first. I had ground them and kept them without adding anything. So that, because if you add the sesame seeds with the other things, then वो होता नहीं है. कैसी चाहिए थी? Okay, just cut the tip. We have this here, and I'm going to just cut a tip. Let's see if it drizzles. Yes. So now we'll just drizzle this. And if you like, you can also put some sesame seeds on it. That is your wish. So our healthy and delicious Buddha bowl is ready to be served. तो अब हम नेक्स्ट रेसिपी कर रहे हैं एशियन सेसमी जिंजर सैलेड. तो सेसमी और जिंजर का फ्लेवर हमें ज़्यादा चाहिए. तो सबसे पहले इन द ऑयल it's a sesame ginger, so we'll be adding the oil first, and of course a tablespoon of oil, and adding the sesame and the ginger. First of all, let the oil get heated, and the other ingredients that we have are a little light soya sauce, sweet chili sauce, some chili paste, then I have some salt, pepper and chili flakes, and some rice vinegar. As I told you, this is the rice vinegar that I have used. Rice wine vinegar or rice vinegar is the same, but rice wine is different. Rice wine is a cooking wine, so it should be, the vinegar word has to be there. And this is the sriracha sauce that I have used. So even the Ching's red chili sauce works very well. And light soya sauce I've showed you. Now let's get down to the making the dressing. So here goes in ginger, and here goes in some toasted sesame seeds. I'm going to keep the flame a little low. I don't want to burn my ginger. Okay. And once this is done, I'm going to add, once the ginger and the sesame is fragrant, some soya sauce, some chili paste, sweet chili sauce, the Thai sweet chili sauce, which is transparent, some rice vinegar. Again, if it says 1 tablespoon of rice vinegar, make it half a tablespoon of the regular vinegar. Okay. And some salt, pepper and red chili flakes. Just going to cook it for a while. Now this will become thick on keeping. Dressing has to be thick so that it coats your leaves and your vegetables. So don't make the dressing very thick that it doesn't coat, or don't make it very thin. But remember, on keeping it will become a little thick. So let me just boil it for a while, and this is done. Now after this recipe has pickled ginger in it. So some people know how to pickle the ginger, but I'll tell you how to pickle the ginger also, because it's all about ginger. Now here that I have used is this is what we are going to make. I call it sushi ginger, pickled ginger, pink ginger, anything. And how do you make this? You take a grater like this, a slicer, You know, if you have this, it's nice to slice your ginger on this, otherwise cut it into paper thin slices. So our ginger is there, we don't need anything. Now this is done. Now let me show you the dressing, how the dressing looks like. It's become a little thick, 2-3 minutes to boil. This is done, and now we'll do the pickled ginger. For the pickled ginger, I'm going to add, here I'm not wasting my rice vinegar. My rice vinegar is too precious to waste. I'm using a regular distilled white vinegar. So half of this, 1/4 cup of each, white vinegar and water. They both look alike. So this is water and white vinegar going in. A little salt and a little sugar. The ginger is khatta meetha, sweet and sour. Now once this comes to a boil, I'm going to add my ginger. I had grated some. And आजकल तो नई अदरक आ गई है, which is the new ginger, which is not fibrous at all, and it's very delicious, and it grates very well, it slices very well. Okay, once this comes to a boil, let this just come to a boil, and we need to boil the ginger for 2 minutes. You know, so many times when we are pickling, we don't boil, but in case of ginger, we need to bring it to a boil nicely. So this has come to a boil. I'll add the ginger. I'm just waiting for it to come to a rolling boil. By a rolling boil, I mean it should boil, it should keep boiling nicely. Now it's boiling. I'm going to add the ginger. And if you see, it changes the color. And if your ginger doesn't change color and you like a little pinkish, what can you add to it? You can just add a thin slice of beetroot to it. Then it gives it that pink color. Whereas when you keep it for a while, it turns pink on its own. Now after this is boiled for about 2 minutes, we just transfer it to a jar and refrigerate it till we want to. Now we are going to put some tofu in it. You remember how we did the sweet potatoes and all? Similarly that way. Now this is the tofu that I am using. I like this brand Murgins, and this is a vegetable tofu. If you see, it has vegetables in it, so even more healthier. I'm going to cut it up into slices. Okay. Now this ginger is done. It started turning pink. It's nice and pink. It should be boiled for another minute. But I think we can forget that. You boil it when you're doing it on your own. You can just boil it a little extra. We proceed further with the tofu. See, your salad, if it's a meal, it needs to be complete. There has to be some protein. So people who take chicken can do chicken like this. You can cut chicken into thin slices, but the only thing is tofu is cooked, so you just saute it. But if you're using chicken, after you've added the chicken, you saute it and then you need to cover it kind of. But before covering, just sprinkle a little water, because what is going to happen with the water, the steam will help the chicken to cook nicely. So that's what we do. So I'm going to saute the tofu. Now we can just transfer this to a jar like this. Let it cool first before you transfer it. See, it started turning pink. I can see the lovely pink color. It's good I did it in this pan because you can see the color. And use a clean spoon. If you use a dirty spoon, you will ruin your ginger. So our pickled ginger is ready, और ये दाल सब्जी के साथ भी बहुत अच्छी लगती है. You enjoy it with your regular khana also. Okay, so I'm just going to put this aside. We are done with it. Okay, now for the tofu. So whether it's tofu or chicken, whatever you feel like, once the oil is hot, I'm just going to add Nita Mehta Kashmiri Mirch powder. I love it because it gives a nice color, but I'm always very careful. I've removed it from heat because I don't want the Kashmiri Mirch to burn. Okay. Now, just do the tofu. And in case of chicken also, but if you're doing chicken, it's a good idea to slice it and marinate it with a little ginger garlic paste, with a little lemon juice, and keep it aside for 2 hours, minimum 30 minutes, more the better, and then saute it like this. After it's sauteed like this, put a sprinkle of water like this and cover it. When you cover it, the steam will, and reduce the heat of course, 5 minutes and your chicken is done. Now I'm going to add some coriander to it. You can enjoy this as a snack also. Okay, our tofu is also done, and let's have a look at our salad now. Now what all do we have for the salad? Greens de do. First of all, for a salad you want it crisp. Now how do you make it crisp? That is most important. I'm going to switch this off. This is done. Now you need to, these are spring onion juliennes. You normally cut it into, chop it, but I have cut them into juliennes. I like it like this way in my salad. So how do you cut it into juliennes? Now this is a spring onion. All you have to do is, let me just cut it here. Cut it into 2-3 pieces like this, and you get these juliennes, and you can halve them. Now you want different leaves. This is the romaine lettuce or the curly lettuce, and you need to shred it. Normally we don't shred it in continental salads, but in Asian salads you can just shred it like this, thickly shred. And before shredding, why is it so crisp? Because I put the leaves in cold water for at least 2 to 3 hours. This is very important. Whether it's iceberg like this, or the romaine lettuce, or the spinach leaves, they have all been, the spinach leaves, they have all been dipped in water before they are cut. For at least, and what kind of water? If you don't have, the water is not too cold, I put ice cubes. So I took a big bowl and I filled it with cold water, put some ice in it, and then put my leaves in it and left it in the fridge, not outside, in the fridge for at least 2 to 3 hours to become crisp. And then I have cut the leaves like this. And after that, you see some water at the base. Now we don't want this water, so what you need to do is, you need to pat dry the leaves nicely. Strain the leaves, pat dry the leaves nicely. This step is important because if it is wet, the dressing is going to become thin. Yeah. So the leaves are soaked in water, strained, cold water, strained, then shredded, and then pat dried. What other things have I put in this? I put some red cabbage or juliennes of red capsicum, anything which you like, and some, see here, I have some juliennes of cucumber. What I did was, I cut it into 2 like this, and with a melon baller, all I did was to remove the core like this and cut it into slices. Some carrot juliennes and raw mango juliennes if they are available. So we have a nice big salad bowl with us, and our tofu is also done. Now this is our dressing that we made. Now mix everything together. The salad should be crisp, and the crispness will only come if you soak your leaves in water, cold water, ice water I would say, and then shredded it. And when you shred your leaves, just shred them a little thickly. And now we can add our tofu also to it. So our salad is also done. And to serve the salad, you just take this dish, you put the salad here, and then this is sprinkled with some peanuts and sesame seeds. And if you like, you can just arrange 2 orange slices like this on the side if you like, and we are ready to go. And another thing which we forgot was this the pickled ginger that we made. Let's put this. This tastes really nice. So our pickled ginger is also there. So now our salad is ready to be served. Now the last thing that we are doing is the Thai spring rolls. So let's get down to doing that. Now सबसे पहले ये है कोरिएंडर, धनिया है. इसकी रूट्स को अच्छी तरह धो लो और नीचे का जो ये थोड़ा सा फाइब्रस है इसको हटा दो. बाकी ये सारी रूट्स और ये यहाँ तक डंडी, ये सब मैंने लिया है और इसको मैंने काट लिया है. तो ये मेरे पास 3 चम्मच कोरिएंडर रूट्स एंड स्टेम ये कटा हुआ है. कोरिएंडर रूट्स एंड स्टेम कटा हुआ है. और इसके साथ मैं डाल रही हूँ 1 हरी मिर्ची इसके अंदर कटी हुई है, थोड़ी सी आई हैव ग्रीन चिलीज, आई हैव सम पेपरकॉर्न्स एंड सम गार्लिक. सो आई हैव कोरिएंडर रूट्स एंड स्टेम, garlic, green chilies and peppercorns, and I'm going to grind them with a little oil. Now to make the filling, I've used these glass noodles. They are not rice vermicelli. Again, I wanted to tell you, this is mung bean threads. They are glass noodles, cellophane noodles. They are whitish. When cooked, they turn translucent. Rice vermicelli is different. It's made from rice, but rice vermicelli is different. It's made from rice, and this is made from mung bean threads. These are mung starch, not rice starch. The rice vermicelli is, white. This is translucent. How do you boil this? You don't boil it. You just put it in boiling hot water. So you just soak it in hot water, almost boiling water. Switch off the fire. Actually, put them in a bowl and pour hot boiling water over them. Cover them and leave them for 10 minutes. When you feel they are done, they are not absolutely soft. They have that bite to them, and that is what is nice in the spring roll. So leave that, strain it, and then they are used like this only. Okay. Now, this is the coriander roots which we ground. Oh, I didn't put a little oil in this, little oil. In goes the coriander roots and the stem. And what else was there? The green chili, ginger, the garlic, green chili and peppercorn. Okay. Just reduce the heat a little. Once this is done, I am going to add some grated tofu. Now here, if you are a non-vegetarian, you can add chicken mince. Add chicken mince and saute. Now since tofu is cooked, you don't need to cook it, just need to stir it for a while. But in case of chicken, you need to cover it and cook it properly. Take about 5-7 minutes for the chicken mince. So I've added the tofu goes in some shredded cabbage. And some grated carrots. And what else now? After your chicken mince is cooked, then add the vegetables. And lastly, this. Now before you add these, you need to cut them like this into pieces. Okay, into shorter pieces. So we've added the glass noodles, cellophane noodles, or mung bean bread, and some green onions. And what are the flavorings? A little dark soya sauce in this. I'm not adding the light soya sauce because it might become a little watery. Some rice vinegar and some sweet chili sauce goes in. And after it's done, I'm going to add the peanuts. But let me just give it a quick mix. Now the filling is done. See, if I had added light soya sauce, I would need to add a little extra. And what happens is, I don't want my filling to be wet. The filling needs to be dry. I'm just drying up the soya sauce and the fillings, the sauces. A little salt goes in, a little black pepper, this is the sweet chili sauce that I'm adding because I find it a little less. See, when you say 1 carrot grated, it could be a big carrot, it could be a small carrot. So accordingly, add the sauces. Now this is done. I'm going to add my peanuts to it, roughly chopped or crushed you can say, and some green coriander. Now we are done with this. We need to cool this filling. This is very important to cool it. So I'm going to spread it out in a tray. Let me take out a little only to cool it, since we don't need so much at this time. Now how do we do the spring rolls? We need to put the oil for heating. Oil. Okay. Now I'm using a ready-made spring roll sheet. If you like, you can make your own, but I would not recommend it because it's too cumbersome. You get these sheets, they are frozen. Before you want to use them, just put them in the fridge for a while, for about half an hour, so that they become, you can take them out. This is how you take them out. You have this sheet with you and put it with the pointed side towards you. Now take some filling. It's still not cold, it should be cold, it's still hot. And again, once it cools down, it's a good idea to taste it, because if you've not tasted it and baad mein achhi na lage to acha nahi lagta. So do taste it. Another thing that I've made is maida and all-purpose and water, a little slurry, just to stick the edges. It could be a little thinner, become thick on keeping. I'll just mix it up so it's nice. Another thing is, I have made a dipping sauce and kept. I made some dipping sauce, which is just that sweet chili sauce and soya sauce, some red chili flakes and a little lemon juice. And I'm going to serve you in this. So I'm putting some dipping sauce in my shot glasses in which I'm going to serve the spring rolls. You can serve them any way you like. I'm waiting for the filling to get a little cold. I have these spring onion stalks which I'm going to put in them. I'm going to put these spring onion in each, and let's keep this aside and get down to making our spring roll. Now here the filling is almost cold. Be a little generous so that the roll is nice and thick, otherwise your roll will be too thin. Okay. Corner, leave about an inch or 1.5 inches. Give it a fold, tighten it, give it another fold. Once you've folded it, put this on the edges. And give it a fold like this. And keep going up now. This is how you make your spring roll. It could be tighter, the next one would be tighter. The filling was a little hot yet. Okay. Again, a second one I'll do. One roll, second roll, 2 rolls. Then turn the sides, the right and the left sides, and stick and keep going forward tightly. Okay. You can serve them like this. Now let's try putting one. It's almost there. Don't overcrowd your pan when you're doing the spring rolls. Now we're just going to cut it into 2 and put it in these short glasses once they are done. Now another thing which I wanted to tell you, now see we have so many of these sheets. If I put them back in this and if I just put it in the fridge like this, we are going to dry from here. So what I need to do is put this back in a plastic bag so that it gets sealed properly. Keep them sealed nicely, otherwise they go waste. And if you freeze them well, they stay well. If you want to make spring roll sheets at home, all you have to do is 1 cup of maida, 1/4 cup of corn flour, 3 tablespoons of oil, a little salt kneaded to a dough, and roll them into a puri size roti. Stick 2 rotis with a little maida. You will find these recipes on YouTube. Stick 2 rotis with a little maida and oil, and then roll them out to a roti size. The puri is 2 puris are rolled together with a little maida and oil to a roti size and cooked together and then separated. Okay. Do try our masalas, and if you missed any of my classes, you could always look up cookflix.in for more videos. इसको ऐसे काट के और आपने चलिए अब हमारा ये भी तैयार हो गया है, एंड हमारा थाई स्प्रिंग रोल्स with sweet chili dip is also ready to be served.